Hey everyone, let's talk a bit more about this thing. I know what I said in my original video. I asked you to just avoid this thing because it was more than subpar with what you could expect. But a little investigation changed my mind a little bit. That said, if you are not an avid modder, don't extend your mod too far. I'm gonna explain why. You're gonna see during the video what I did to this blaster and what kind of Pandora's box I opened on myself while doing it. Yes, obviously it's Talon fed, it's half dart. I made the Talon mag adapter very early in my modification so I could have the right measurement when placing everything. For the one of you who saw my post, you know it's been like a week since I've made this thing on the blaster, and it worked super tight. Even more than that, you're gonna have to press it down and click the mag release manually, but this way it's not shaking and you can remove your magazine, put it back in. This is a very simple one-piece design that I printed on it. The little latch is just a little notch inside of the mag adapter, and when doing it you need to push it manually. This way it doesn't move. With this done, it was time to really open the blaster and to look inside. By the way, I'm Dave, welcome to Tag. First thing I noticed when opening this blaster was the flywheel cage. Flywheel cage was generally the size and shape I expect from a Stryfe, and the bolt pattern was quite spot on, because I even tried it with the worker cage to put right over it, and the screw matches everywhere. I didn't really want to use the worker cage because it's a canted cage that I had in my storage, but I had a spare siren blink cage complete with the motors and flywheel. Obviously at first look the siren blink cage will be too big because of the motor. There is no way I can fit those big motors into that slim of a blaster. This blaster is quite profile, meaning I'm gonna need something with a lower profile. But before we go on the siren blink cage, let's go on my observation for the stock flywheel cage. It was quite easy to remove. It was easy to separate in half. You can remove the flywheel quite easily, and there is little screw for brand new motors. Let's say you just want to swap the motor into this blaster, it is easily doable. But know this, the flywheel are not exactly the right depth as regular flywheel, because I tried to swap the flywheel into that cage and it didn't work. I had a pair of bulldog flywheel here, and when trying to put them inside, they didn't line up at all. Not like just properly, it was at all. Therefore, there was my first difference. So if you want to reuse the stock cage that is inside the blaster, maybe just swap the motor and reuse the flywheel that are in. That said, it was not to my liking. Therefore, I opted for the other option, the siren blink cage, meaning I needed to open the siren blink cage, check inside, and yes, the two screws for the motor were there, meaning I could remove the stock motor and put some 2S regular motor that we have in the hobby, and I ended up putting like a classic, a pair of fan revamp from Foam Blast that I had in my storage, and those kind of fit nicely into that cage, giving it a very low profile so I could reclose the blaster. Speaking of a Pandora's box that I opened, choosing the fact that I will use this siren blink cage was less easy than I thought. First, I just set it right on the screw post themselves, and when trying to reclose the blaster, there was a big problem because the cage was less than centered. It was like the cage was standing here. So the screw port were the same pattern but too long. And I still decided to go with that choice when I should have just reverted to using the stock flywheel cage on it and using the stock flywheel with the Foam Blast motor. But no, me being me, I ended up just cutting the screw post to the right length. Yeah, that was my point of no return. I mean, at that point I need to make it work, or throw-wheel blaster, because I just cut the port. The stock flywheel cage will never fit back in. But even with the little screw port at the right length, it was not going down all the way. For one main reason, that blink gauge that I decided to use, because the crush is amazing on this thing and the geometry is nice and it's made sturdy. It's made so sturdy that it's too big for the blaster. And then again, I needed to shave that cage, so it's gonna clear every angle on that shell and even more on that side of the shell. That done, I needed to make sure it was properly aligned. Let's say that for now it's 95% aligned with the barrel, with the magazine, but everything is straight and everything is in a good relative straight line inside of there, so I can continue. My next step was the pusher. You see, my plan for the pusher was to really just have an extension that I would add to the stock pusher, so I would not need to open the whole black gearbox to go play inside. I spent way more time than expected trying to do that little extension, because I was doing 2-3 model, printing them, then correcting what was not good, and then printing them again, and it ended up always being either loose, misaligned, or hitting the magazine. It was never perfect. So an easy clip-on mod was out of the question for now. Therefore, I revert back to plan B, which was to reproduce the small pusher arm inside of this blaster. And I should have went with this solution right on for this little pusher, because it's one of those situations when you nailed it on the first time. I basically reproduced everything. I took my measuring calipers here that I always have somewhere on my table. I took analog measurement. I mean, look at that, there's no battery into my calipers. I took analog measurement on this pusher. I reproduced this whole section. Once this whole section was like exactly reproduced, yes, there is little fin, but all those little fin, I printed them flat down and you insert them in. So it's like a 3-piece little pusher that I made that goes in. But yeah, within a half an hour it was working. Like 10-minute design, 20-minute printing, and I had my pusher working in the blaster. So yes, I should have went with this solution first. It was nothing complicated, no fusion or anything. This is Tinkercad 100%, and this is the little pusher that we have at the end. I mean, it's just longer. We got the same fins at the same place on both pushers. Since I assume you are gonna go half dark and you're gonna go with a Talon magazine, you only need a very slim little pusher to activate everything. So yeah, I was kind of stoked to hear that my pusher was fitting there like it was made to go there. It basically dropped in at the right place right away. The return spring fit in there perfectly, because yes, there is a return spring under the pusher. That is kind of a tricky part there, but I managed to pull it off. But now it's a screamer. This thing, yeah, it's a little windy. Those are the foam blast motor. The battery doesn't seem to eat up that much, but it's not very powerful. It's a very small 7.4 volt. Probably that with a regular 2S LiPo would have better revving time on those motor, but those flywheel are big and the crush is pretty amazing. My main problem with this thing is not that it was working, because it was working. I mean, I just put the dart in, I can shoot. I could shoot. There is a thing. I went for a chronograph test and the FPS was varying quite a lot. The good shot were in the 150s, 140, but the bad shot went down to 70 or lower sometime. That was kind of a big problem, having a big variation like that. Even that I couldn't hear any variation in the rev that much. I was shooting it like slowly, one dart at a time, or maybe two if I held the trigger a bit too long. But yeah, there was no reason for a chronograph test that erratic on this blaster. So I started to have some concerns about some of the internal. First, I recheck my flywheel. They are pretty much aligned. I got no real problem there. The cage, okay inside. The main problem that came a couple of times, and I realized that by firing the blaster with the shell open, is the little clear barrel inside. Okay, you gotta understand, this barrel is on the outside diameter smaller than a regular worker inner barrel for flywheel blaster. But the problem is, it's smaller in outer diameter and it is 2 times thicker. Meaning you got like 14, maybe 14 and a half millimeter hole inside there. The dart that are spewed very hard by this high crush cage just hit the inner barrel. And that was like my main suspicion on the blaster. And I got confirmation on the accuracy test, which was worse than stock, even if the dart were slapping way harder. Those darts were flying everywhere, and you see some of them just tipping over, like they hit the side here and just flip around and fall down in front. It was not good, and I could feel a talk sometime when a dart was going to fly off course. Meaning I will need to eventually straighten this barrel. But for now, I think I did my job. I wanted to upgrade this thing, and yes, when the thing is perfectly aligned, when it doesn't hit the inner barrel, I got 150, 140 FPS. I feel it's a good improvement from the 60 and sometimes 20 I had with the stock motors. Yeah, stock motors that are basically the exact same motors that there is on the pusher. So yeah, if I could find a third motor, I might change the motor on the pusher and have something even faster. But for now, it worked. My pusher works well in it. The cage finally fit. Honestly, I'm sorry for the time it took me to produce this video, but like I said, this was like a can of worms. Every time I solved a problem, there was another problem going in. And the choice I made while modding this blaster, I should have kept it simple with the original flywheel cage and the original flywheel, or just print myself a pair of flywheel to go along with the stock cage, or just slap a regular, if I want to go with the post cutting, a regular worker or similar cage inside of there. It would have been better. But am I satisfied? Yes, because the modification gave me something. It improved the blaster. It's not perfect. It will deserve a second look. I will have to return to it. But yeah, it's working. For the STL file of the pusher and the mag adapter, I'm gonna leave them in my blaster download page, but they are gonna be free. So if you want to modify one of those blasters, this one or the MP85, the blue version, which got a front mag wheel, if you have one of those blasters and want to just convert it to Talon with half dart, you will have the possibility to have just like a drop-in kit that will fit directly with this blaster. I'm just gonna have to address the accuracy problem on this thing, but basically it's a physical problem, which I am addressing right now. Well, I think that's it for this small video. In the meantime, you can always follow me on Facebook and Instagram at @nerf. Please leave a like and comment, subscribe for more content. Don't forget to hit that bell to notify for my latest video. This was Dave Fatag. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.